Hello and welcome to All About Billings. We are a show dedicated to discovering the people who make Billings a great place to work and live. We will interview local business people, community leaders, artists, entertainers, and we will learn from them all about their successes, their failures, and their connections to Billings. I'm your host, Nancy Brooke, broker and owner at Billings Best Real Estate, and today it is my pleasure to have as my guest Levi Vandersloot from Yellowstone Home Inspections. I got it right. Welcome to the show, Levi.
Thank you for having me, Nancy.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. You know, it's kind of fun. I've known you for a number of years, but I never really knew your background and how you got started in home inspection. So maybe let's just start there.
Yeah, I got started doing home inspections in 2016. And really the reason behind that was we had a home inspection done and it was poorly done. And I really wanted to do better. And I was like, this is something I can do. I have construction experience and I'm going to dive into this so I can give buyers a better outcome when they use my service and hopefully not miss the stuff that the inspector that I hired missed.
Well, and there are a lot of certified home inspectors, but all of them are not created equal, let's put it that way. And so what did you find that was missing in your home inspection? I mean, you don't need to get into the nitty-gritty, but were there just some basic things that you thought should have been picked up?
Yeah, and some of the things that I thought should have been picked up is that there were some exposed wires where their mice have chewed through all the wires. And in the report, there was photos of the wires that were damaged, but it was covering a different topic.
Oh.
They were calling out something else in the report saying this is an issue, but you could see in the photos the damage. And I do have to say some my fault because I should have known, but at the time I bought the house, the market was super hot.
Oh, sure.
And we just needed to get an offer in, so I didn't get to really take a deep look into it, but I felt that that should have been caught because that gentleman did probably about 7 or 8 different home inspections before with us, and he caught those same issues other times.
Sure.
And it was somewhere where it was readily available to be seen, and it was widely spread throughout the house.
Right.
Out of a tune of about 15,000.
Wow.
So.
Because you had to replace all the chewed up wires?
Yep.
And then get behind the walls and...
Get behind the walls, seal up where the mice were coming in. And I'm not mad about the mice, you know. It was more that there was damaged equipment that was photoed in there.
Yeah. Well, and I think the thing is, like, the value of a home inspection is, even if you are a skilled person and you can go around, there are things that you really don't get into if you're just looking at the main components. And so that's really where a home inspector is invaluable, because when you do a home inspection, you can spend several hours at a house, right?
Yep. Usually our typical house is 3 to 3.5 hours. You know, average size and everything like that.
Right. Well, and I know, I mean, we're talking about when you're buying a house, and I know most real estate agents will recommend to their clients to get a home inspection. And that's obviously a good thing. But you also do home inspections for sellers and even for people who are still living in the house and just maybe want you to review if there's anything they need to maintain, right?
Yep. We actually have a wide range of clientele.
Yeah.
You know, anywhere from expert witnesses. We have gone in to do cases for expert witness cases. You know, people that just want to know the general maintenance that's lacking in their house, not even wanting to sell it.
Right.
They just want to know, hey, what can I fix? I need a list.
Right.
And that's where we come in to help them determine, you know, here's some maintenance issues, here's some like serious issues that down the road could cause an issue, and kind of point them in the right direction.
Well, and I've had sellers who really want a home inspection just for their own peace of mind, so they're not caught off guard if something comes up. Do you see that a lot as well?
Yep, we do a lot of pre-listing inspections. Clients just want to know what, make sure there's no surprises, like you said, you know.
Right.
They don't want to find out that there's a collapsed sewer line or, you know, some major electrical issue that's going to have to get addressed anyway. Because a lot of sellers take take pride into their house.
Right.
So.
Well, and you know what's kind of interesting is sometimes people, like, they're not aware of issues that they don't see every day. Like, a lot of times you'll see maybe the kitchen looks nice, the bathroom looks nice, and then, wow, this electrical panel is really messed up. Or there's this big crack in the foundation that nobody's ever addressed. I imagine a lot of people are surprised when you find things.
Yep. Well, but when you own a house, you have blinders on sometimes.
Yeah.
You see it 1,000 times a day. You might have realized at one point, oh, that's an issue. I'll get back to that. Then it kind of gets filed in the back of the brain, thinking like, I'll address that later, and then you forget about it.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it's just not a day-to-day thing you see, so it's easy to forget about it. So what's required to be a home inspector?
So the course, you have to just take a course through InterNACHI or another certified program.
Okay.
To do that, we go in and take a course. Course is about 120 to 160 hours long, just to start off though. Then you got, every 2 years, you got 24 hours of continuous education that you have to do. You also, Montana switched several years back, they had to be now licensed through the state.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea, you know, because like for you, we could go out today and get you your general contractor's license, and there's no continuous education.
Right.
You know, the state requires you to have continuous education. So we constantly have to continue to learn and prove that we are learning and staying up to date with current standards.
Right, because codes change, right?
Correct.
I mean, at one point you didn't need the GFCI outlets. I mean, in the 70s, we see a lot of 70s homes, they don't have it. It was fine at the time, but now it's code that you have to have those.
Yep, and like that's a good one too, because it used to be, they changed it to 6 feet within the sink.
Right.
Now it's anywhere on the countertop in the kitchen. So even now it's still changing.
Right,
So,
right. And you have to keep up on those things.
Yep, have to understand it and go from there.
So what do you feel is the items that are most, you most need to know when you are buying a home? Let's start with buying a home. So you do an inspection. What are the things that can really be big deals?
Buying older homes, you know, electrical, you know, Federal Pacific breaker panels, you know, some insurance companies don't. They will put limitations on your insurance for that.
So what's the problem with a Federal Pacific panel?
So there's been a lot of studies done that shows that they don't trip when they're supposed to trip.
Okay.
And I believe, don't quote me on it, but I think it was like 45% that don't trip when they should trip. And so basically it'll stay on and it'll arc and potentially cause a house fire.
I see.
And there's a lot of arguments that, you know, the ones we see today have standed the test of time, which that's true. But when you can't get insurance with some agencies because of Federal Pacific, it's something that you should update. And let's just face it, it's just the newer panels are safer. And that adds peace of mind to people when they're buying property.
Sure. So panels a big thing, I suppose, any kind of electrical. If you have old electrical, if you have knob and tube, that's probably a big deal.
Yep, knob and tube is another one that shows up that, you know, a lot of times a lot of it's been somewhat updated, but unless they tore down to the studs, they never pulled it out of the wall. So it's just something to be aware of. But we try to tell clients, like, you know, be aware of this stuff. You are buying a house from 1930s.
Right.
You know, and if that's the style you love, some of these things you're going to have to understand potentially are going to be issues there.
Right. Well, I think a lot of times people see a price of a house, which a lot of times these older houses can be much more affordable than a newer house. However, you do come with maintenance and deferred maintenance that's ongoing.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I mean, very fair. Like when you own a house, there's some people that have lived in that house for 30 years, you know. As you age, you're not going to be getting out, cleaning out the gutters, you know, recaulking the siding. So a lot of small issues can lead to big issues down the road.
Right. Well, I once had a client seller who he had some heaving in his basement, and his gutters were like filled. And so through the process of investigation, we decided that really it was just from all of those years of water coming under the house. And he said, well, gosh, if I knew that I had to clean the gutters, I would have done that.
Yeah, something super simple.
I mean,
yeah.
But sometimes, and I mean, I'm, not trying to, be funny into his expense, but sometimes people don't know
Correct.
that they have to maintain. And that's like, you'd think people would know to clean out their gutters, but it's just one of those things.
Again, it's something you might know, file it in the back of the brain.
Right.
Life gets busy. Things are constantly changing. Those are easy to forget.
So we talked about electric. We talked about, I guess, the panels. What other things are potential expensive items or safety items that you encounter?
Well, another big expense item is the roof.
Oh, the roof.
Yeah. And Billings gets blessed because we get hail quite often, and even some of those smaller storms, as years go on, you start seeing more and more damage to it. Gets to the point that it needs to be replaced,
And a lot of times people say, I don't remember a hailstorm.
Correct.
And it could just be like a freak little thing that affected maybe a couple houses, not the whole neighborhood.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So our storms get a little odd around here, and there'll be strips of areas that get hit and other strips that don't.
Right. And so you see a lot of damaged roofs in your
Yeah, we get a lot of damaged roofs. Nice thing is, though, is we don't see very many end-of-life roofs.
Okay,
Get up
that's
there
true.
and be like, oh, this roof's been here for 30-some years. That doesn't happen very often.
Right.
It's mostly, anywhere from 5 to, 10-year-old roofs that have hail damage, and then they get replaced.
Right. So roofs are another big one. What would you say would be a few other things that you encounter?
Sewer lines.
Oh, dreaded sewer lines.
Yep.
Yes.
As you know. As soon as that dirt gets buried on top of them, you never know what happens. Tons of different materials that have been used, like clay lines, which...
And they can last.
They can last.
I have clay, and I've had it cleaned once in 25 years.
Yep, and that's the thing, that just got to see how bad that root intrusion is. And so it might be something you can clean it once every 25 years.
Right, or every 6 months.
Yeah, exactly. So, but those are, again, maintenance things that should take place and go from there. Obviously, if the line's damaged, that's a little bit different. But big thing with like clay is just root intrusion.
Right.
Which will eventually damage if it gets too bad.
But sometimes people think, oh, it's great because I have, a newer line, it's made of PVC. Those still can have problems.
Exactly.
So what do you encounter with those?
So one thing we've gone back and we've looked since COVID. We've looked at all new builds that we've ever done, and it's surprising. It's about 30% that have some kind of defect in them. A lot of them are just bellies.
So tell us what a belly is.
Just a low point in your sewer line.
Okay.
Where either the base wasn't compacted correctly.
So it sinks a little bit?
When they were backfilling it and they were compacting it down, they just kind of over-compacted it and potentially pushed it down farther than it should.
Okay.
So, and problem with that is once the solids hit that belly, it won't allow, some of them will get stuck down there and
Right.
kind of hang out in there, which will prompt being plugged up and causing backups potentially.
Well, and that's a bummer for a brand new house too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. You're paying any more top dollar for a brand new house.
Right.
It should be in great condition.
So you'd recommend, I mean, because older houses, that's obvious, but a newer house, a lot of times people are like, it's fine. It's brand new construction.
Yep. And another, like, if you're on a septic tank, in my opinion, still good to get that line scoped. It's not a long run. Usually they're short runs, not, 100 feet out to the city tap. But those we seem to see a lot of bellies in. So, and a lot of people will be like, well, I just had it pumped and inspected. A lot of the times they don't run a camera to the tank.
Of course.
'Cause they know where the lid's at. They
Yeah.
go take it up and pump it. So, easily you can be spending $3,000 if there's a belly in there.
Wow. Yeah. Well, and you can even spend, if you need a new line, that can be 15, 20,000, 30,000 if you have to dig up in the basement.
Yep.
I mean, I've had to do that in a rental. I've had to dig up or jackhammer the cement in the basement.
It's the second most expensive thing that you potentially could replace in your house.
What's first?
Foundation.
Oh, that's a good one. Well, before we move on to foundation, because I want to hear all about the fun foundation items you've uncovered in your inspections, talk about Orangeburg.
Oh.
I had never heard of that before. That is the craziest stuff. So that's a sewer material, right?
Yep. And just sum it up simply, it's like OSB rolled up with tar pitch.
So basically paper with tar.
Yep.
And why in the world would anyone have thought that would be a good sewer line?
So after World War II, we had a lot of lack of material because it was all going into the war effort. So someone came up with that solution to start throwing those in. And to be fair, some of them lasted quite a while. The life expectancy, I think, was 50 years on it. But it was kind of a lack of supplies needed a solution. And sometimes those solutions aren't the best.
Right. And so when you encounter those, are they, for the most part, pretty ripped up?
Yeah, what you see is
because it's been more than 50 years.
They start to bubble.
Okay.
And they start bubbling, and the pipe will be super uneven, and it just starts delaminating that wood inside. And those are just, every time we see them, need to be replaced. Even if they're in good condition, it's the only matter of time until they're not in good condition.
Right. And so one of the solutions, and I don't want to go too deep in this, but there are ways to fix sewers now that don't involve just replacing the entire sewer pipe. You can sometimes do linings in them, right?
Yep. Sometimes you can there's different types of liners out there.
Okay.
You can line them sometimes. The Orangeburg is the one that's unfortunate that sometimes you can't.
Okay.
Well,
especially if it's all crazy and
But
bubbly.
there are companies that can pull liners through. And
Okay.
since there's already a hole,
Right.
they would be able to pull them all the way through and attempt that. I think that there's probably like 40% of the time you do have to dig and replace Orangeburg.
But that's a good thing to know, because wouldn't you want to know that if you're buying a house? Or wouldn't you want to know it if it's your own house, like your sewer has a problem?
100%.
And who knows where the waste is going, but it's going to be getting in your ground.
Yeah. Well, today, actually, we had a house with Orangeburg.
Oh, no.
Now that you brought that up, they were out doing an inspection, and it was just one guy living in the house for many years, and he's never had an issue, and which he's looking to sell his house. So that's going to turn around and potentially could be an issue for the buyers. A buyer with a family and 2 kids come in there.
Lots of showers.
A lot of shower,
yes.
a lot more water usage, So it might work good for you, but when new buyers come in with more water load, it's not going to work out very well.
Well, and some of these things, I mean, that's expensive, but some things can be hazardous. Like you're talking about the fires with electric. I mean, you could have a leak in a furnace and maybe people don't know. I mean,
Correct.
there's lots of things that you uncover that people have no idea that can be dangerous and health hazards.
Yes. Yes, like gas leaks, you know, we find those. Not often, but you'd still find them. Big one is like flues for your furnace. Them rusting out from being there for 50 years and just kept on getting a new furnace, but never a new flue. So,
Yeah, that's really something that people need to keep an eye on. But again, even if you own a house, this would be a good reason for you to get a home inspection.
exactly.
Just so you have your maintenance list and you can check it off and just, you know for the next 5 years what you need to work on,
Yep.
really. And then if you're ever looking to sell, of course, that's a good way. So let's get to the number one expensive item to repair in a house. Sometimes it can be an easy fix.
Sometimes it can be an easy fix,
Yeah.
but foundations.
Foundations
Are
Ugh.
definitely expensive,
Yeah.
and we have some unique areas.
So what are the areas where you see different sorts of foundation issues?
You know, up in Copper Ridge,
Right.
you know, that one's pretty obvious, very publicly known
Right.
issues. I think the builders now are doing a great job on mitigating that.
Do you know what year they started peering them? Was it like 21 or something?
I believe it was 21 because I believe
Okay.
that lawsuit was in 2020.
So anything prior to 21, if you're buying in Copper Ridge, you'd want to ask if the house had been on piers. And if not, you're going to want
To be
to
very
get
fair,
it
you should
inspected.
just ask now.
Ask now?
Even if you're buying a brand new house
Sure,
out there today.
sure.
Ask the builder. It should be super simple to
Yeah.
be like, hey,
Did you peer it?
like, and most of them already know. Like, to be fair, most of my clients are like, yes, the builder said they peer it, but find out more details about it just so you're more educated when you're buying that. Okay, I had 50 piers put in. You know, this is how they're supposed to perform, because the builder would be very good at telling you how they perform and go from there. I mean, honestly, I don't think I've seen many issues out in Copper Ridge, you know, that wasn't self-inflicted.
Oh, so talk about that. So self-inflicted damage, what caused
Well,
it?
like with foundations, like we've already talked about, the number one is water. You know, someone takes an extension off and is like, I'm just gonna leave this, not clean the gutters out. 1 or 2 times of doing that, probably not a big deal.
5 years?
5 years,
Yeah.
you know, there was one gal out there that left her hose connected to her spigot. It froze, broke. Who knows how long ago? But the back of her house had a 3-inch difference in drop in that corner. And her house wasn't piered, but if she, you know, went down and just took a look in the crawl space, you might have been able to notice that, and probably would have saved her a lot of headache.
Right, and money.
Yeah.
Well, and even if you don't spend the money to fix it, the next person who's going to buy your house is probably going to want a discount for what's going on with
Correct.
it. So it's going to cost you one way or the other.
Yep.
And so what other areas do you commonly see foundation
Anything up
items?
around the rims,
Rims, of course.
You know,
get
that's
some
a-
settling there.
good one to take a look at. And then you're on a hill, and you know, that's another good one, you know. And sometimes, you know, having an engineer's report's not a bad thing, especially if you're in a high risk area. You know nothing's moved. You can present it to your the sellers and say, hey, this was taken back 10 years ago. We just got another one done right before we listed it. Zero movement,
Right.
you know.
And that gives people peace of mind.
That gives people tons of peace of mind, you know.
Right. And some of the older houses I've found have foundations that are deteriorating.
Correct.
Is that just because of the age of the house?
Age of the house, and a lot of them are water related.
Oh, okay. Because
You know.
in the old days they didn't have gutters.
Correct.
So it could have been 50 years without gutters.
50 years without gutters, and so you got a little wave in the floor, but you get that water away from the foundation,
Yeah.
usually helps. There are very few times that we go out that it was because the foundation was poured incorrectly.
Right. Well, you do see some interesting foundations, though, like downtown and south side where they're like all these crazy rocks.
Yeah,
and
some sandstone.
yeah, it's just whatever they threw
Yeah.
they threw together to make the concrete.
And you know, sandstone will allow water intrusion
Right.
over time. So
Right.
treating it is something that should happen, you know, resealing
Oh, okay.
the foundation, you know. Now they spray the exterior foundation
Okay,
when you
just
buy
to
it. But
kind of,
back in 1930s,
yeah,
you know, 1910,
yeah.
that wasn't happening.
No, the house is good to go.
Yeah. So,
And let's talk about one other item, which I know you're an expert at, is radon.
yep. Radon in Billings, you know,
How many houses have radon? I say this is my guess, like maybe 30 to 40% of the houses I see a little elevated radon.
so in Billings, I would say it's closer to the 50% mark.
Really? Wow.
Yep. But seasonal,
Okay.
you know, we will see more higher tests in February and then in like July,
Okay.
you know, we won't. You know,
So-
when we looked at our,
So what is radon? Let's start with that because some people might not even know what it is.
so radon's gas that's breaking down, a radioactive gas that comes up into your house, and people thought it used to be really good for you.
Right, because
Yeah.
aren't there people who expose themselves to radon?
Yep,
like
there's-
in Butte? I mean,
There's still mines, I believe,
Yeah.
that are still open that allow you to go in and soak in some radon and heal your arthritis and move on.
well, but it's, from what I remember, the second leading cause of lung cancer.
It is.
Yeah.
So it's something that someone should be taking serious. Now, when you look at those numbers, you know, I think it was like 21,000 was the deaths contributed to radon in the U.S. a couple
Okay.
years ago. That is way behind number one, which is smoking,
Of course.
you know. And there are some things linked that if you are a smoker, you know, you're at higher risk,
Sure.
and radon can contribute to that.
Hmm.
So, but in the Billings area, it is something that's worth getting tested.
Sure. And you also have a company now that you do radon mitigation.
Yep, we started a company this year that does radon mitigations, Billings Radon Pros.
Okay.
I started that just because the lack of competition.
Right.
You know, there's only a select few of guys that do radon mitigation around Billings. And so I was like, oh, there's an opportunity
Yeah.
to jump in and make some headway, give clients some better pricing.
Well, competition is always healthy.
Yep.
That's right. Well, cool. Well, let's tell people how they can get a hold of you. Now, whether you're buying, you're selling, or you live in a house, or you're investing in a house.
Investing,
all of those reasons.
or you rent a house.
Or even if you rent a
Yep.
house. Okay.
Surprisingly, we get a lot of people that rent that call us,
Okay.
you know, because they're, unfortunately, we go into some of them and the living conditions are
Okay.
pretty bad.
Yeah.
But a lot of people document them. More and more, we're getting a lot of more people that have us come in before they move in.
Okay. You just check
Inspect
everything
the house
out.
and just document it.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
they can have a report saying this is the condition the house was in when we moved in. That window you're trying to charge me for
It wasn't my
wasn't
fault.
working when we moved in,
Yeah.
you know.
So calling you the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, giving me a call, shooting me a text message.
Okay. What is your phone number?
Best phone number to get a hold of me for home inspections is 406-690-3010.
3010. Okay. Sounds great.
And then for radon mitigation, if you're looking to get that done, 406-652-9554.
9554. Perfect. Well, this half hour has flown by. Thank you so much for being here. It was
Oh, no
really fun
problem.
talking to you.
Thank you for having me.
And everybody, we thank you for watching All About Billings, and we hope to see you next time.